This is eCommerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode 119. My name's Kevin Minnell, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
And Brianna Corlett.
Whoa, we got a new one. Where's Paul? Paulie Chu. No, Paul Chu's not here.
Not today.
Not today. And Brianna.
His replacement.
Yeah, you opened up your you opened your big mouth when we talked about.
I did.
When we talked about coming up with a title, and since you came up with today's title, you are going to be on the podcast.
I like doing a little rotation. We had Albert on a couple weeks ago. Tamara's next week.
Yeah.
Ooh, Tamara.
Let's talk about branding.
Tamara's missed a lot this past week. Anyway, so you guys know that we talk a lot about our experiences here. We do have an agency called Fast Forward, and the agency side of things really is what drives this podcast. And the interesting thing is that we don't really know who listens to us. We think we know. But there's no, we just see downloads and people who are actually reaching out to us. But the clients that we have gotten through this podcast have been far from,
it wasn't always the, I don't think it was the purpose of the podcast really, was to bring clients in. It was more to build an audience of e-commerce stores to teach them things. And it's really taken a life of its own, and it does, it actually has brought in a few clients.
Yeah, and we just actually signed a deal with this really, really cool company. And today's episode is going to be about something that we were talking to them about. And that's basically simplifying your message, right? Everybody wants to be clever. Everybody wants to be cute. Everybody wants to talk or speak to their customers like that, but in the end, the clearer you are, the more you're going to win. I mean, it's just a fact that when you can't come up with what your product, the problem that your product solves in like 3 or 4 words, then the people who are buying it are going to be confused. And this new client that we're speaking with, really, it needs. We all agree that this is an area where we can improve on.
Well, it's a very unique product. You know, it's not just like a T-shirt or a skincare product. It has a very it handles a problem that a lot of people have, but it's just it's hard to like talk about it without actually talking about it.
Yeah, I mean,
one of a kind.
Yeah, it is a one of a kind product. It's revolutionary. I mean, really, it's probably one of the few products that are new to the market. I mean, it's a really new product. But before Kevin rudely cut me off before, I was saying that
I cut you off when?
Yes.
How did I cut you off?
I'm going to tell you right now if you shut up.
I tried it. As soon as you take a breath, I got to say something, or no one gets to say anything.
All right. Well, I was saying how this podcast is really just a reflection of the work we do on the agency side. And we thought that our audience was only made up of people like, say, me or you who just started an e-commerce store. But it's funny how we're learning every day that we have a very, very diverse audience. Mm-hmm. Right, Brianna?
Yeah.
And so going back to this product, they have done a lot right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they clearly know how to launch a product. Mm-hmm. Where they're struggling is, number one, I think, with the messaging, and number two, with putting it all together so that it works without all these holes, right? So that's something that we're going to be working on with them. And one thing that they because the product is it's kind of like you said, hard to talk about because the product is so cutting edge. They, in turn, their message was kind of cutting edge, and it almost didn't portray really what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, right? If you're sick, you want medicine. If your feet hurt, you want new shoes. And no matter what the product is, it's really just that simple, right? You're just solving someone's problem.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they know about the problem, sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just solving a problem, no matter how cool it is. Right, Brianna? You agree with that?
Yeah. The funny thing is with this is that this is something that is solving an issue that for most people we kind of just learn to live with. It is what it is. There's nothing out there that's going to make it easier. And then boom, something is there and you're like, wow, I never even thought that this would be possible.
Yeah, I mean, and basically what it is just something that straightens and dries your hair like a third of the time that it takes a normal blow dryer, right? So it does it much faster. It does it much more efficiently. It doesn't burn your hair. And this is a problem that obviously I don't struggle with because I don't have any hair. But people like you, right, struggle with, right? Like
just learn to live with it.
Right, like
you know?
If you have to be, and I know you're not like a time person, right? Per se, you're not like but if you have to be somewhere at 7:00, you know what time you have to start getting ready,
Right.
right?
Right.
And anything that interrupts that time frame,
Oh yeah.
it throws you off, right? So you can go from being there at 7 to easily being there almost at 8, right? And this product actually solves the problem of time. It solves the problem of burning your hair, right? These are problems that people know that they have. So being clever, just because your product is cutting edge, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to connect with your audience.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about, simplifying messages before. And as much as, like you said, it is fun to be creative and cute, and they do that in some of their messaging that they have now, sometimes it's just the best way to do it is to say, hey, here's our product. It's going to do this for you. It's going to help you save time. It's going to not burn your hair. It's going to save you a bunch of money in the long run.
Yeah, and obviously that's just a very raw way to explain it.
Well, yeah, of course.
But that's exactly right. Like you need someone to understand what your complicated or not so complicated product does within seconds, right? Or you're going to lose people. And even if you have a product like this particular product, doesn't matter how cool it is. It doesn't really, none of that matters. What matters is what problem are you solving, right?
Because in the end, that's really all your customer really cares about.
Right. Is just solving a problem that they're struggling with. And what's interesting to me is seeing you, Brianna, and seeing Tiffany and seeing Tamara, how surprised you are that this product actually works, right? Because it is something you almost don't believe.
Well, and one of the biggest things too is Tiffany said she's like, I'll believe it when I see it, and we talk about that a lot, is having real life people using the product and having the product solve that person's problem in real life. I mean, anybody can go get a bunch of models together and have their hair fixed or create a piece of content like that. But when you see real people doing it, it can tell a completely different story.
And then here's another lesson from that I think everybody should remember, right? We always share the wins with everybody, meaning the successes that we have, and we don't necessarily always talk about the things that aren't successful. And I think people can learn from both. And we're just wrapping up a relationship with someone that we obtained from the podcast, and they were quote unquote a startup, but they really had a company had a lot of money, and we had limited assets, and it was very, very difficult to break into this particular market, right? And the lesson is, like what Tiffany said, there are hundreds of videos online that this particular product works. And what did she say?
She still didn't believe it, which was crazy to me, but I could understand it.
Yeah.
From a consumer side.
Yeah, she said, I got to see it.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law, I showed her videos. I was like, look at this. This is crazy. She goes, no way. If you guys do a video and I see it, then I'll believe it. And the point is that even though people see things, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to believe it.
Yeah.
And this client that we're wrapping up with had, like, for all intents and purposes, have one of the, everybody who's tried it said it's worked.
Yeah.
Right?
It's we ran surveys. We saw the Facebook ad comments. They were all outstanding. But there was still that little bit of doubt in people's minds. That trust factor and that process that you have to take people through. That trust is really hard.
It's hard to break through that.
Yeah.
Which is a good lesson, because you may be in a point where you're trying to break through. You're trying to do something that you may think is possible, and it's quite frankly, it could be that you're just being too freaking complicated, or you're not giving it enough time. Right? There's a couple things that could be happening. These guys, there are some holes that we're going to fill. This new client, which we're completely excited about. Like, we can't wait. But where we're going to start is their message, like how we talk to their customers compared to the way they've been talking to them, right? And like, they have a video on their website, for example. It shows you exactly what the product does, but it doesn't invoke any kind of emotion. It doesn't tell you what the website does. It doesn't tell you the product does. It doesn't tell you any of that. It just is like a nice video of a model using their product.
Well, it doesn't really tell you what problem it solves at all. I mean, it shows you, the way it works and the outcome you can get from it. But especially when you have very limited time when someone's on the website, you got to be very short and sweet with your messaging, especially on your own. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we just redid our website, fastforwardinc.com. Right. And on our website, it says leads and sales on demand guaranteed. What more do you need to know than that?
Yeah.
Do you need to know I mean, if you were a business coming to looking for a marketing company and you saw that, there's no questions, right? We're going to get you leads and we're going to get you sales and we're going to guarantee it. So, you all right over there?
I'm tangled up in the wires.
So simplifying your message, and that's something that they came to us and they're like, look, we think we're being too cutesy. And we looked at all their stuff and they really are. I mean, look, if I'm thirsty and you offer me water, you don't have to like be cute about it. Like, I'm going to drink it. Right? I mean, it sounds crazy, but like, if I just ran a marathon and like you say, you don't even have to say anything, just hand me the water, I'm going to drink it. So you got to think of your product like that. You got to get the product in front of the right people who are looking to solve that problem and just tell them we're solving this for you. And it really can be that simple.
I mean, it's funny though, because we all kind of believed it when we saw the videos, like, oh, this is cool. But then when we used it today, we were like, okay, this is really cool. Like, it had that added factor, basically.
Right, but if you went to their website and you compared their homepage to one of their other pages, right? Like, their homepage didn't really convey what it did. It was just like, here's a sale, 100% guaranteed. We're seen on these websites. Like, it was a complete opposite of what it needs to do.
And you can't make people have to like look around to figure out what it does. You have to like show it up front and be clear with it right away. And I think we found some other pages that we think do that they weren't utilizing like they should.
Yeah, so we're gonna completely redo the. And by the way, just to give you guys like a little insight, right? They have a budget. It's not like they're a startup, but they have a budget, right? They're spending whatever $25,000 to $30,000 a month in ads, But we talk about this all the time. Like, just because you have more money to spend, all it means is you have more money to waste.
Right.
You know, and that's a lesson we learned, man. We learned that with several clients, actually. So, you know, it goes back to the whole thing, like, you can't teach experience. Same thing with this. Like, you know, sometimes you just got to learn by what you're doing, simplify things, solve a problem,
Valuable content,
and be done with it.
Yeah, and they're in it. I mean, this is the way to launch an e-commerce product if you really want to be successful. It can't just be like a hobby. We say that a lot too. You have to focus and you have to like be full in.
Yeah, I mean, we got on the phone with these guys, and literally on the phone, we got 20 emails from them. Like, hey, can you give us access to this? Done. Hey, done. Like, whoa.
Not messing around.
Like, they're not messing around.
Yeah.
And you gotta take your business that way as well. You gotta be serious about it, focus on it. But we're kind of going off on tangents here. So the other thing that we did speak to them about the first time was in their messaging to talk more about the problem that they're solving rather than how great the product is, right? And that's like another thing is like all your messaging should be around the problem, right? We spoke this morning. I keep saying this, I keep repeating myself, but it's like amazing when you think about it. I saw somebody post on Facebook the greatest Nike commercial of all time. It's like what shot them into like the success that they've had. Basically, it's like a 6 or 10 minute video of basketball players doing tricks. And then like at the end, it says, just do it or whatever, the swoosh. Doesn't even talk about the product. It just talks about like these cool basketball players are doing awesome moves and their product is like what they're using.
Look, it always comes down to like a customer doesn't really care about you or your product. It's about how you're going to help them.
Right.
That's great that you say your product is great, but how does it help me?
Right.
Just tell me, and maybe I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And show it to me several times because I'm not going to buy it right away.
Yeah, and I, use this example as well. Like I'm a hockey player, and if they have a commercial about the fastest hockey player on or in the professional NHL, and then they show him skating around and like breaking all these skating records, and then like at the end they show this hockey skate that the guy uses, I'm gonna automatically like connect his speed with the hockey skates, and that just comes down to messaging, and that's really all it is, right? Is like it's the same thing. It's like you have to learn how to portray your product in a way that it's solving a problem for people, and they know they have the problem for the most part. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people don't know they have a problem, but for the most part they do. And you have to position your product in a way that solves the problem.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to talk about some of the things that we're going to be, not in too specific, but talk about the things we're going to be doing with them. And
yeah, we don't mean to be cryptic about it, but they don't really want us.
Yeah, bringing the experiences that we're going to have with them, because it is a pretty unique product. It's not something you're just going to find anywhere. So I'm excited about it.
And they have traction, which is nice.
You got anything else to add there,
That's
buddy?
it, man.
Well, thank you guys. Hey, our Facebook group.
Oh,
Forgot to tell them about our Facebook group.
and
eCommerce
University.
eCommerce University.
So if you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook, you will get redirected to our Facebook group. And we have a new course coming out it's called eCommerce University, eCommerce Uncensored University. And if you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/learn, you can see the landing page there. We're in the middle of recording it, but you can pre-order the courses.
Yeah, cool. Very good. So thank you guys so much for listening. This has been episode 119. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.